Alright folks, welcome back. I'm just going to do a quick answer key here for the first quiz. This is quiz number 1, and you might not be able to read this, sorry, but the first question is, why does the computer care about what type a variable is? And when I say type, I mean this. For instance, this variable x is of type integer. I can make another variable x that is a float, and that variable would be, of course, a decimal number. I could make a variable x that's a string. I could make a variable x that is an array of integers or an array of whatever. So this is the name of the variable and this is the type. We've worked with ints and floats and booleans and those sorts of things. But the type of the variable really matters because it tells the computer how much memory it's going to need to run the program. So if I had a program that had 50 integers, that program would be a lot easier to run than a program that had 50 arrays of 50 integers. And the computer has to look to see if it has enough RAM, look to see all sorts of things, which is why when you hit the play button, it actually takes a couple seconds for the computer to get loaded up because it has to do all that work of sort of clearing out the closet and making sure it has enough space to get done what you need to get done. That bleeds into question 2 here. And question 2 is basically we're going to declare an integer, x, which means we have a shoebox called x that's big enough to hold an integer in it. But then right here we're going to do something silly and we're going to actually try and put a floating point number in there. Square root of 3 is not a whole number, so this won't work. So if we try this out here, if we say int x and then we say x equals square root of 3, we probably get some horrible complaint here. Yep, cannot convert from float to int, which is exactly the kind of error that you deserve to get by trying something this silly. Number 3, what is a Boolean variable? A lot of you said that it allows the computer to make decisions, and that's actually not technically true. So I'd like you to kind of deal with that misconception right now. A Boolean variable is just a variable. It's just true or false. So if we say Boolean r, it can be equal to true, or we could set it equal to false. That's it. If you want the computer to do something, you can use that variable in conjunction with this if control statement, do stuff. So this is really the control. The if statement is a control. The variable itself literally just keeps track of the idea of true or false for you. And you can see here if I do something silly here, like I say r equals 3, the computer should barf at me here. Yeah, cannot convert from int to Boolean because 3 is not true or false. Let's see if it handles like 1. Does 1 represent true? No, it doesn't. So you have to write true or false. In some languages, Booleans can be 1 or 0, 0 being false and 1 being true, but not in processing. Okay. The fourth question, this one is about user input. So we switch standards here. Now we're talking about getting information from the user to make your programs fun. And it says, write a short processing program that changes the horizontal radius of an ellipse based on the position, the x position of the mouse, and change the vertical radius based on the y position of the mouse. So all I'm testing here is, do you know how to sort of plug in that mouse variable so that you can use it to do stuff? And so we're going to have to actually write a whole program here real quick just to get it to go. So we'll run the setup function just to set up the screen, and we'll say size, we'll make it a small screen just because we're doing something for fun here, and then we'll use the draw function to draw. And remember, these two functions are special. This one is going to repeat over and over and over again, and this one only happens at the very beginning. There are very few other special functions, like key pressed or key released. Those are special, but the rest of them you'll make up yourself, and we'll put up a video about that in a second. So void draw, let's draw an ellipse here. And some of you got the API backwards. It's totally okay. The position of the circle goes first, or the ellipse, and then the radii, the actual size of it, goes second. So I'm going to put this one at the center of the screen. A better way to do that would be to do this and this, and then put it right here. So we can use mouse X and mouse Y. And that was really, I was testing to see if you knew mouse X and mouse Y, just kind of basics. But I was also testing to see if you knew that you could kind of put them in as a placeholder for another number. And that's really the big idea of programming, is just, it's the concept of placeholding. And so this hopefully will run here. So we get a screen. allocating memory, loading up the program, and then there we go. I can move my mouse up and down and it squishes it, and I can move it left and right and it makes it this big. If I go down here, I make a big circle. If I go down here, I squeeze it down altogether. Isn't that nice? Okay, so there's question 4. And then in question 5, there's actually already a video about that, and all you had to do is sort of watch it and understand it. And you might think to yourself, well, that's a really easy quiz. Well, yeah, but it's a pretty complex solution to getting more than one key pressed at the same time. I just want to address one misconception people had. A lot of people wrote this solution right here. They said, well, I would use the key pressed function, which is a function that returns nothing, so we'll say void. I'll use key pressed, and then I'll do this. If key code equals left and key code equals right. Do you see what is not going to work about this? You know, move diagonal. This won't work because key code changes every time the key is pressed. So if I press the left key, then the key code is left. That's cute. But it will never be right because as soon as I press the right button, this key pressed function fires again, changes the key code variable to be right, and so now this one would be false, or this first bit would be false immediately after pressing the right key. So this would actually never happen. The better way to do it is to use an array of booleans and use that array to keep track of each key. But you can watch the video on that. It's called multi-key input. Great. All right, I'll post the answers to quiz 2 here in just a second.